Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Neve and Snickers and apparently Pretzel with aromatics. And today I've got another fragrance review. It's gonna be a summer cheapie Encre Noire Sport. Guys, I got out of work a little bit early, decided, you know what, let me go to the gym. Didn't have a shirt on. I did have my pants in my trunk and my little duffel bag, so I figured, you know what, no excuses. I'm gonna get it in any way I can. So figured, hey, what the heck? I'm gonna wash these scrubs anyway. Got the workout in. Scrubs, no scrubs, doesn't matter. No excuses, right? Today's summer cheapie fragrance, Encre Noire Sport. Now, if you're in the fragrance game or community, you are familiar with Lalique's Encre Noire, the original, and I'm gonna keep saying it like that, Encre, because it is Encre, it's not Encre. But anyway, so let's go ahead and take a look at this bottle. It's a standard square, nice little bottle, okay, nothing too crazy. Got a wooden cap with Lalique, you hear that? Oh, I love that. Anyway, Lalique engraved in the cap, wooden cap, it's a real wood cap, and just essentially stock atomizer with the sticker on the bottom, batch code and all that good stuff, and nothing really on the back here. Atomizer, it's a nice pressurized atomizer. Let's take a look. There we go. All right, so this is classified as a woody aquatic, and for good reason. It's definitely a woody fragrance. So if you're familiar with the Encre Noire line, then you know of the three flankers, if I'm not mistaken. You got the original, obviously, and then you have à l'extrême, or à l'extreme, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me, à l'extrême. And then you have lastly Encre Noire Sport. Now, of the three, I will say right off the bat that this is the most wearable version. Now, if you're in the designer realm and you kind of want to trickle into a niche type of fragrance, this is one that you could get started with. Now, just because you're looking for a niche, and this is, they call it niche quality or a niche, and I can appreciate it and see where they're going with that. You still have to enjoy certain notes like vetiver, because this is essentially a fragrance that revolves around vetiver. Now, if you like fragrances like Tom Ford vetiver or gray vetiver, then this might be the perfect fragrance for you to use as that stepping stone into the niche realm. However, if you do not enjoy notes like vetiver, and you do not enjoy grapefruit notes, and you do not enjoy cypress notes, and if you're not familiar with it, then go get your nose on, I'm sure Sephora or Nordstrom has gray vetiver by Tom Ford, or anything that has the word vetiver in it, and see how you like it, you know. And it's a fragrance that I feel is very subjective, note rather than a fragrance, excuse me. And basically what it is, it's kind of a dusty, dirty, there's two different types of vetiver, and that's the thing, is that a lot of the fragrances that are used in the freshies, they would either use the clean and ethereal type of vetiver, or the dusty and dry type of vetiver, or they would use a combination of both, which is exactly what this does. And now you'll have different vibes, however the vetiver note will still be the vetiver note. So I think before you guys go and do this, because this is going to be a subjective fragrance, people are either going to love it or hate it, and before you do that, I suggest you get your nose on the note of vetiver, or fragrances that utilize the note of vetiver before you spend that. Even if it is a cheapie, guys, it's still money. So maybe, you know, go on a little date with yourself and go get your nose on, like I was saying earlier, a vetiver fragrance. Now, enough about that vetiver. Let's go into the notes of this fragrance. I'm gonna put the notes somewhere on Pretzel over here, and we're gonna kind of just, I'm not really gonna go too in depth about the notes. You guys can see it there on the screen for a reason. I'm just gonna spray it on this fancy, like top of the line tester strip, and give you guys my impressions and initial thoughts on the fragrance. So this is an ideal fragrance for the summertime. It is more versatile. It lacks the same depth, and it has a lot more wearability, obviously, than the original and the à l'extrême. However, if we were to put it on a little step stool as to versatility-wise, the least versatile, of course, right there on that ground level would have to be Encre Noire, and afterward the à l'extrême, and then lastly the Sport. This opens up with a blast of grapefruit and bergamot. Bergamot is not as prevalent as the grapefruit note. and definitely some nutmeg. The nutmeg is going to kind of give it like a spice sweet type of green sweetness. It's nothing like sweet. It's not a sweet fragrance by any means, but it just gives it that little bit just in the opening. The grapefruit is definitely detectable, and it's, if you've ever smelled a grapefruit, that bitter citrus, it's a very realistic bitter citrus in the opening. It didn't really give me much of an alcohol blast at this fragrance, so the composition, and for good reason, and that's why a lot of people call this one a niche quality fragrance. Within the first 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, the cypress, I think relatively sooner than that, probably 30 seconds in the fragrance, the cypress really kicks in. And guys, if you've ever smelled the note of cypress, you will not mistake it with any other woods note, just because it has such a strong odor and it just like punches you in the face. It's super green, super like just pungent greenness. I start to pick up a little bit of lavender, which does a good job in the fragrance in terms of softening up those edges, because you do have the bitter citrus and then you have a strong, tenacious woods. You need something to kind of round out these fragrances because they both have rough edges, and if you don't have something that kind of brings it into synchrony, then it would probably be all over the place. Now, the nutmeg in the fragrance is still pretty detectable at the 2-minute mark. However, now the vetiver is starting to pick up, and it's starting to amplify. I did pick up more of the clean vetiver than I did the dusty woody. Now there is that dryness that is starting to be more evident. And so it's not surprising to me, guys, because this is a vetiver based fragrance and vetiver can be done fresh. But at this point of the fragrance, and I think we're somewhere in between the mid and the dry down, the biggest difference is, I would say, from the top to the mid is that grapefruit, it's still there. However, during that transition from the top to the mid, these rougher edges do start to kind of soften out. Before they soften out, the cypress is prominent, so you get that grapefruit blast with a little bit of nutmeg. You get the cypress that just starts amplifying up and just starts turning up the temperature, and then as that temperature starts to rise, that lavender starts to kick in and kind of smooth things out. And as it smooths out, I think what I'm starting to catch is a little bit of watery notes, and essentially it doesn't really smell like anything other than like water. It just gives it kind of an aquatic feel. It's either you pick it up or you don't. It's not really one that you can be like, yeah, I smell water. No, I mean, let's be realistic. But I think that's why they labeled the fragrance as an aquatic. It does have that aquatic feel. So if that aquatic note or the water note that's supposed to be in here is essentially used for the aquatic feel, then it definitely is achieved. And I would say that I did kind of feel a little bit of a difference in feel with the aquatic vibes, somewhere in that mid to dry down level. Just to sum it up, guys, the top to the mid is nothing but grapefruit, hints of nutmeg, cypress blasts, and some smooth lavender. Now we're into the dry down. Most of what I get in this fragrance is grapefruit and vetiver, guys. That cypress is still there. However, it's just a grapefruit. The grapefruit kind of is in the background now. It did not leave the fragrance. There's still that bitter citrus. It's just kind of in the background now. That cypress is still there, kind of giving it a green sharpness, if you will. It's not necessarily a bad sharpness, but it's just super green pungency, if you will. And the vetiver is the heaviest star player here, guys. The other three notes are just used, in my opinion, as a kind of a carrier, if you will. So essentially just smoothens out the fragrance. You do pick up that musk in the dry down, but mostly it's going to be vetiver. That musk and cashmere woods and lavender are all buffers. They're all buffers that are used to soften out any edges, and there's so many buffers that you will have a hard time finding that mistake or that note that kind of just like sticks out or hits you the wrong way. You won't really find it. It's all blended so well. And I think that's essentially what gives it that niche quality, is because there's so many buffers in this fragrance that it just gives it a nice cloud. No rough edges, very well blended. Throughout almost the entirety of the fragrance, that vetiver that I did pick up from the initial blast along with the cypress and grapefruit was more of a clean vetiver. Now, to sum it up, guys, the dry down is just vetiver and a lot of softness and musks. So all in all, guys, as a fragrance, it's a great fragrance. You have to love vetiver, guys. Please beware and do not go buy this fragrance if you do not enjoy vetiver. I personally, I'm not crazy about Vetiver. I do like Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver, but that has more versatility even to this fragrance, guys. So Encre Noire Sport is not more versatile, nor in my opinion as versatile as Grey Vetiver by Tom Ford. However, it's still a great Vetiver fragrance, but I'm not crazy about Vetiver fragrances. But this is still amazing for the summertime. Do I catch myself wearing it? Yes, I do. And honestly, I pulled this out just in the last month, maybe about 4 times. And amongst 300 plus collection, that's a big deal, okay? So as a scent, guys, I have to give this one as, aside from my personal tastes and likings, a 7.5 out of 10, just as a scent profile, the way that they compose this fragrance. Now, price value, if you enjoy Vetiver, keeping that in mind, price value, this is like almost a 10, guys, maybe 9.5. Probably 10, because I do agree with a lot of the people that say that this is niche quality. I will not call it a niche because I think that there is a lot more factors that classify it as niche. But to be honest with you guys, there is no rules. So if you believe that this smells like a niche quality or a niche fragrance, then hey, what the heck? It's a niche quality fragrance. Does it matter? No, it really doesn't. Do you enjoy it? As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. So guys, sub 35, I think maybe sub $40, but definitely sub $50. And it's none other than Encre Noire Sport by Lalique. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are here, you guys are watching my videos, you're subscribing, and you're leaving those likes because YouTube loves the likes. And if I get more likes and I get more eyes and I get more people to love, and as always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video half as much as I did making it for y'all. Love ya.